All right, here we are. We're continuing, finishing the the war between Korach and his group and Aaron against Aaron and Moses. So we saw yesterday that Korach, there was like the inner group, inner circle, and then there was the middle circle and there was the outer circle. The Korach made a war against Moses, and he wanted to depose Moses and Aaron. So he was right in the center of this, him and Datan and Aviram. They were right in the middle of this. And they just couldn't stand to see Moses and Aaron. And the ground opened up and it swallowed them up with all of their property and their houses and their families and their friends. And Moses beforehand warned everybody, get away. There's even a midrash that says that the hole opened up and it sucked people in. In any case, the hole closed up and that's it. They were swallowed up. They were finished. But this did not in any way discourage the 250 heads of the tribes. So there was 23 from each tribe that he gathered all together to to offer up incense. He said to offer up incense, and you'll see God is going to accept your incense. You can depose Aaron. And the fact that he was swallowed up in the ground, it didn't discourage them at all. And so they kept offering up this incense, and a big fire came down and it devoured them, 250. So that was punishment number 2. And Moses said even more, take all these fire pans and make it into some sort of a covering for the outer altar in the temple. And then after that, the people started complaining. And they said, Moses, you killed these 250 people. You told them to take incense. It was a setup. You knew that the incense kills people. And so what happened? There was a tremendous plague that smote the Jewish people. Here it says, wait, one second. That was yesterday. Here. It says, yeah, so the fire came down. Okay, so it says, remember, where we go? They took these machtos, and then Elazar Cohen took these fire pans, and it was remembrance for the Jewish people so that they wouldn't try to make war against Moses. What happened? The whole congregation complained to Moses. We did this yesterday. That all of the Jewish people complained the next day to Moses and to Aaron, and they said, you atem haimat hamitem, you killed the people of God. These 250 men, they were holy men. They just wanted to come close to God. Here you see they were willing to offer up incense at the risk of their lives. They knew that they would die. They could die because of this if they weren't right. And so they had the best of intentions. So you tricked them. You tricked them. It was you that killed them, because incense is the thing that kills people. It killed Nadav and Avihu, and they really were Kohanim. So what happened? Aaron and Moshe went back to the Ohel Moed, and there was a big cloud. Everybody went away. And suddenly, God says to Moses and Aaron, get away from everybody, because I'm going to destroy the whole Jewish people. I've had it with them. And Moshe said to Aaron, quick, take the fire pan and run between the people quickly and save them, because God's anger has been aroused. The plague has begun. And Aaron took this fire pan. Aaron took the fire pan, like Moses said, and he ran in the crowd, and the plague began. And he took this incense, he put it before the crowd. He burned the incense, and he stood between the dead people and the living people, and the plague stopped. Right? We did this yesterday. That he grabbed onto the angel of death, and the angel of death said, I was sent by God. And Aaron said, but I was sent by Moses, and Moses only does what God says. And if you don't believe me, come and ask him. And that's what it says, that he dragged them. Anyway, the Aaron went back to Moshe, to the entrance of the path. That's what it says, Vayashav Aaron, that he took the angel. That's what it was. We looked for it yesterday. He took this angel of death to Moshe, and the entrance, he was at the entrance of the tabernacle, and the plague stopped. The angel understood what was going on. That Moses was sent by God, and it stopped. So this was to show everybody that the incense was not killing people. It was sin that was killing the people. And that the incense, exactly the opposite. It had the ability to save even the sinners. So that was the third circle. And there was the middle of it was Moses, was Korach and Datan and Aviram. Then the central was the 250 people, and they died by means of this fire coming down. And then there was all the rest of the Jews. They were all complaining about Moses, and there was a plague over there. How many people died? What was it? 14,500. What does it say over here? Here, 1 second, 1 minute. Oh, the Megefa Netzara. Oh, that wasn't the Megefa, was 14,700, not 500. 14,700 people died in the plague alone. And this is not counting the 250 that got killed by the fire, and the Korach and Datan, Aviram, and all their friends and everything that all got killed earlier. So not nice, not nice, not a happy story, but it's not over. And this is where we're starting off our class today. God spoke to Moses and he said, Daber al bnei Israel, speak to the Jewish people. V'kach mi'itam, and take from them mata lebeit of, one staff for each tribe. Me'it kol nasiayim, from each of the leaders. Lebeit avutam shnei masar matot. In other words, you go according to the original ones, the sons of Yaakov, Jacob. Joseph is not divided into two, and Levi gets one. 12 staffs, and each put his name on the staff. Now, it's a little bit of a question exactly what they wrote on the staff. Did they just write the name of the tribe? Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, or did they write the name of the tribe and the name of the leader of the tribe? Right, whatever leaders there were that were left. I mean, there weren't the new leaders that there were of the tribe, because all the previous leaders, they were sent into the land of Israel to spy out, and they all died with their tongues went down to their stomachs. Did we learn that? The spies, their tongues, we did learn. The tongues went down to their stomachs, and the worms came from the tongue into the stomach and it killed. Okay. I mean, these are pretty strange deaths, you're right. But in fact, no matter how strange they were, first of all, if they weren't strange, so the Jewish people would say, okay, the guy died, he had a heart attack, he had, problems with his liver or something. And people die, all the time. But to die in such a bizarre way, so they knew it was the hand of God. And it did absolutely no good. People still did the sins. They did the sins. It made absolutely no difference to them whatsoever. And the reason is very simple, that when a person gets a tremendous urge to do something, he just doesn't see anything else. He just forgets everything. He forgets the past, and he doesn't worry about the future. He just has a big desire to do something, and he just does it and justifies it. It's like the sinkhole, like the Korach's hole. The mistake, when a person does a mistake, a sin, whatever, a transgression, so it pulls him down with everything he's got, all of his properties and properties, all of his ideas, all of his future, all of his this. He doesn't care. So what are you going to? That's the way God created the Jewish people. This generation is going to be different. It's a generation of Mashiach. We hope. Let's for sure. Let's see. We hope it'll come immediately. So it says, take the 12 tribes. Let's look at the Ramban over here. Ramban says Mate Aaron was the number 12. In other words, it didn't say to take 12 tribes. which usually there's 12 tribes without Levi, right? Because Joseph is divided into two. Oh. So Aaron was one of the was one of the 12. Ki lo amar v'tikach mate lebeit Levi v'tichtov alav shem Aaron. Didn't say take a staff from the tribe of Levi and write on it Aaron. But what it did, it says Aaron was the tribe of Levi. We'll see. But why? Because lo nechshav Yosef. Yosef wasn't one of the 12 tribes. It was Yosef. I'm sorry. Yosef was not divided into two. It was only considered to be one tribe. Usually Yosef is divided into Ephraim and Manasseh. There's only always 12 tribes. That's all there are. So if you want to call it Yosef as two, then you don't count Levi. Because Levi was counted, so therefore Yosef was only counted as one. And also we can say maybe there was in the order that Moses blessed them, the tribes, and there he blessed Yosef alone and he blessed Levi alone. What was exactly written on these staffs, says the Ramban. Some people say that the name of the head of the tribe, Rosh HaShevet, was written. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, right? In other words, which was written, the name of the tribe. Reuven, the tribe of Reuven, tribe of Shimon. Says the Ramban, a Nachon, but really what is really the truth? Shem HaNasi'im. Really, the name of the leaders was also written on the tribe. And Aaron was also, he wrote on his staff Levi, and his name, he became Aaron, he became like the head of the tribe of Levi. Even though Levi was really divided up into three, right? Gershon, Kahat, and Merari, and each one of them had their own heads. But now we couldn't consider it as three, so we consider it as one. Who was the leader? Aaron. First, we have to say that this was one, each one got one staff, and one Shevet was written for Levi. Even though the stay mishpachos kahuna, even though we also subdivide the Levites into another way, Levis and Kohanim. The Kohanim were alone and the Levites were alone. But nevertheless, it was really, they were all just Levi. I mean, the Kohanim also came from the tribe of Levi, right? Levi gave birth to Kahat and Gershon, Kahat and Merari. And the reason is, like I explained, ki lo hotzrechu raya rak shenivchar shevet hahu mikol shivtei Yisrael. That tribe was chosen among all the tribes of Israel. Here's the Or HaChaim, an interesting one. Why does it take from them? It says, take from them one tribe for each lebeit of me'eit kol nesiyayim. You have to take from them, and then it says take from each one of the leaders of the tribes for their. So it already said take from them. What does it have to say take from them? Again, why? It says the reason is below speak lomar me'eit kol nesiyayim. Just say take one each tribe. No, not fair.
Okay, W, you want to comment?
I'm sorry. He says the reason is the imoya omer kach me'eit nesiyayim mata mata. If we would just say take from each one of the leaders of the tribes, then I wouldn't know that they should bring it, and I would think that hu adin sheyikach Moshe, that maybe Moshe should also take. I mean, Moses was also like he was a leader of the tribes. If it would just take from the leaders, so each leader would bring, so you would think that also Moses should bring. He was really the leader. So therefore, he says you have to take from each tribe. Or you might think that if it said Messiahim, you might think that the heads of the tribes, they have to take from their own personal property. And also that Moshe should also take along from his own personal property. Therefore, it says me'itam. What does it mean me'itam? That you have to take, not Moshe would take, only the tribes would take, and the tribes would take not because of their individual name, but because they were representatives of each tribe. What was going over here? The idea was Korach got this idea that anybody can be a Cohen Gadol. Anybody who wants to serve Hashem. And really the Ramban says the same thing. The Rambam says over there that not only Levi can devote himself totally to God, but anybody who wants to devote himself to God. So they thought, okay, if anyone can devote himself to God, then we can also offer up incense. They just wanted to come close to God. But you have to do it in an orderly way. You can't do whatever you want to. And so even after Korach died, so they still had their claims. They thought maybe, listen, okay, Aaron can be the head Cohen if he wants to, but everybody else can also be a Cohen. He's not the only one that can be the head Cohen. Everybody else can be. So therefore, he told them all to bring their own staff. The name of Aaron you should write for the tribe of Levi, because it's one tribe for each and every person. Take all of these 12 staffs, put them in the Ohel Moed. Put them in the Ohel Moed in front of where the ark is, and that's the place where I meet with you, and we'll see what happens tomorrow morning. You'll see the person who I choose, right? Says God, the person who I choose, his staff will flower, and I will remove from me, all these complaints of the Jewish people that they're always complaining on them. Okay, now you have to remember something. The Jewish people, in fact, were really holy. It says that it was a Dor Dea. And all these people had seen these amazing miracles, and especially God spoke to them on Mount Sinai. So in fact, the Jews were at a tremendously high level of holiness. And God was providing for everybody, was giving them bread from heaven. And so everyone saw that God was providing for him individually. So everybody, instead of thinking about how much God loves me and how much God expects from me, they were thinking, I must be somebody pretty special, if God can do this, so maybe I can just trust myself. And as soon as Korach came along and he said that, everybody said, wow, this is exactly what I've been thinking. He just, he said what's in my heart. He had the courage to say it. So they followed him. Even after Korach was killed, so they thought maybe he was killed because he went against Moses, but not necessarily against Aaron. Maybe, who knows? God said, okay, I see nobody is convinced. Take the staffs and put them in, and Aaron's staff is going to be one of them. We'll see who he chooses. We'll see who God chooses. Let's look at the Baal of Turim. It says, the one who I choose, says God, his staff will grow flowers. What does it mean, flowers? Says the Baal HaTurim, Yifrach. It says, these three first words I have not been able to understand. I don't understand what these words mean. With no other choice, I would say that it's some sort of a printing error, but it's probably just, I just don't understand it, but I don't know what it means. In any case, it says, why does it mean Yifrach? Why does it mean that his staff will flower? What does it mean, flower? He could have just said, the person who I will choose, right? And the person, you'll see who I choose. That's all. You'll see who I choose. And I'll get rid of all these complaints. But Ish Asher Yevchar, right? And the person who I will choose, what did he say? Put all the staffs into the holy, and then you'll see who I choose. Why does he have to say the one that I choose, it's going to grow flowers? Why flowers? First of all, what's the big thing about flowers? The fact of the matter was is that true, it grew flowers, but that was just a step to growing the almonds. So the almonds were the main thing, the fruits, not the flowers. So let's see. It says tzaddik katamar yifrach. It says a tzaddik, like a date tree, he will yifrach, he will flower. There's another sense, yifrach kashushana, yifrach b'yom of tzaddik, yifrach. Mateo yifrach, this is like a tzaddik. This will show that Aaron, he's the real tzaddik. Shekiv and Shemateo yifrach, because his, please stop that, whoever is doing it. Please stop it. 1 second. There we go. Good. All right. Let's see, can I remove this? There we go. 1 minute. Excuse me. Oh. Sorry. There, good. Okay. I'll remove from here. It says Yifrach. Oh, it says Zeu Yifrach Hashushana V'Yikazayat Hodu. It says that's what it means. Like Hashem and Atov, like we learned in the Mimer in the morning. Zakano Yifrach B'Yom of Tzaddik. This is who is this said about. This is a hint at the Melech HaMashiach. Sheb'Yamav Yachzor Tachzor Kahuna. That in his days the Kohanim will return. Yifrach Mate Aaron, and then the staff of Aaron will be found. I mean, the staff of Aaron is together with the tablets, and the tablets are buried. When the third temple comes, so all this will be revealed again. Or HaChaim, it says the person that I choose, etc. It's not enough. Masha Osa, it wasn't enough what he did now. I mean, Cohen, let's think about this. It doesn't make any sense. All these miracles that God did just to show that Korach was wrong weren't enough, right? What happened? Korach fell into a hole. Fire came from heaven. There was a tremendous plague that Aaron had to stop. Not enough. God said, I want to have another just to take it out of everybody's mind. Maybe they thought, maybe the people thought that what happened to Korach, this was because he went against Moses. And he disagreed with him. And that God is just taking revenge on him, on his faithful prophet. That really, it's possible that God could choose other tribes to serve him as well as Levi. Therefore, he said, you have to do this thing, right? So Korach, God got mad because he went against Moses. All the other 250 people, because they were friends with Korach, and God was taking revenge because these people were against Korach. But listen, maybe it could be that anybody who wants to conserve God in the Holy Temple, you could just go in and just, go into the Holy of Holies. What's the problem? So therefore, he said, you can't. Only Aaron can do it. And this is going to be the sign that Aaron is completely different. Moshe spoke to the Jewish people, and they came to him, all of the heads of the tribes, each one individually, 12 tribes each, and Aaron's tribe was in the middle of all of them. Rashi, what do you mean in the middle? He took the staves and put it in the middle. Says Rashi, put it in the middle. Why in the middle? So you won't say that because he put it on the side, so that's why we put it on the side. So the Shekhinah is either in the west or it's in the east. So that's why it grew flowers. In other words, the Jewish people were still looking for some reason not to believe in Moses. And you can't really blame them because, like I said before, Moses was driving them crazy. Moses kept demanding from them more and more and more and doing more and more things. And the Jewish people just sort of, they had a hard time in Egypt. And they said, listen, we were slaves long enough. And we don't want to be slaves anymore to you, Moses. But the problem is that God took them out in order to be my slaves. Says God, Up to now, you've been Egypt's slaves, but now you're my slaves. Avodayim, you're my slave. We learned that before. So Moses put all the staffs in the Ohel Moed in this, and the next day everybody came back, and Moses went into the tabernacle, and here it is. There it is. That the staff of Aaron grew up. By Parach, there were flowers on the staff of Aaron to the house of Levi, and there came flowers, and there were little buds, and there were fruits. Now, usually it doesn't work that way. Usually it works with a normal, the way things that grow on a fruit tree is that there's flowers, and then the flowers fall off, and then there's a little bud, and this bud eventually develops into a fruit. I don't know if you've ever seen. Have you ever seen almonds? Almonds are very interesting. Almonds, if you buy them in the store, they're very small. They're compact. But the fact of the matter is that almonds have a thick skin on the outside of them. It's sort of like furry on the outside is thick. You remove that, and then there's a thinner skin, which is on top of it, and then you remove that, and then the almond is underneath it. Really, on top of the almond is also a very, very thin skin. The fact is, some people, they remove that when you want like almond milk or something like that. But that's not mentioned over here. But usually what happens is the flower grows and then it falls off and it leaves this little sort of a bud in there. And this bud, it also goes away because it develops into a fruit. So you don't have all three of them together. But here they saw was all three. There were flowers and there were, Parach said it grew. The staff of Aaron grew, and it came out flowers, and there were these little buds, and there were finished fruits. There were almonds. Let's look at Rashi. Rashi says that there came out flowers, like it's mashma. It was not that there came out flowers, that it grew. I'm sorry. No, there came out flowers. And there were tzitz. What's tzitz? Tzitz are like the little buds, the beginning of the fruit, when the flower falls off, and then it grew into shkedim, to almonds. When you could see the fruit, then you could see that it is what type of fruit is not apples or oranges. It was almonds. But that's what it means. Yigdal yeled v'yigomal. V'yigomal means that he finished growing. Usually Yigomal means that he weaned from his mother. Lashon Zeh, this we find in the fruit of a tree, just like a boser, gomer, etc. Anyway, it uses this word of Yigomal. This is why Lamashkedim. Why did God tell him to take of all things to grow from the branch, why did it grow almonds? Because this is a fruit that grows faster than any other. And this also arouses the same thing here. God is saying, I'm arousing because you complained, you tried to eliminate the kahuna, the idea of Aaron being the high priest, and you want to say everybody could be. So therefore, if you try to go against Aaron, so retribution from God is going to be quick. Like we find in Uzziah. Who is Uzziah? Uzziah, a sad story. If you ever read a little bit of the history of the first temple, the kings that ruled after the first temple, right? So they were filled with the idolatry. I mean, the people were just crazy for idolatry back then. It was just impossible to hold them back. There were very few kings that really, from the beginning to the end, they really did what God wanted. The ones in Israel, that was in the ones in Judah. The ones in Israel were totally wasted. Israel was the 10 tribes. But anyway, one of the kings of Yehuda was a king called Uzziah, and he was really a very good king. And he got rid of the idolatry until the end of his life. But what happened was he all of a sudden, he was very successful and very powerful. but it went to his head, and he decided one day that he wants to go into the temple and offer up incense like the Cohen. And everybody told him not to do it. And he disregarded that. And all of a sudden there grew up the signs of Metzora. Metzora is this spiritual Torah skin disease. I mean, it's a disease that appears on the skin. They translate it as leprosy, but I don't think it has too much in common with leprosy, except that it's a skin disease, and but this thing of and also it's deadly, and this sorat is not deadly, but it brings a person, doesn't kill a person, but it does affect the person with the impurity of death. So it says that this Uzziah, all of a sudden there grew up a sorat on his head. So it says, it says, kefit shigido. Said that it grew up. This is the same thing as, what's it say? Lahafriach, to grow up. It's used that word. Okay. Anyways, it was like an eshkol shkedim. It was something like a cluster of almonds all together, sticking one together. They were also joined together. We can do the Kli Ykar. It's a little bit long. Let's see how much time we have. Let's just go to another one. I want to do this Kli Ykar though. It's very beautiful. Chav Daled. Moshe. So what happened now? So here we have the staff. It says that it says there were two things. That there were two things. First of all, there were flowers on it, and the flowers did not fall off forever. And that was on one side. And on the other side, there must have been that there were flowers that fell off, like all of them. And there was shkedim, because it can't possibly be that there will be these almonds if the flowers are there. I mean, they can't both be in the same place. So it must be that the flowers were on one side and they didn't fall off, but they didn't grow any fruits, any almonds. And on the other side, it must be that they did fall off. Varai, what's the proof? Miyoma umafarek makom shenago damasik al otan devorim shenignazu. So he says that must be that we have all these things together. It must be that they grew up together. How could it possibly be? Some people say that also the makal of Aaron, shkidia, parachat, it says that it must be that the staff of Aaron had, there were almonds and flowers, and it was also nignazu. It was put together with the ark in the ark, or next to the ark. So it must be that the flowers stood there forever, and they were together with the shkedim. So it could be that maybe they didn't fall off. Maybe it could be that they were together somehow or other. That added an extra miracle. Just do a couple more here, and we'll go back to this. Hashem said to Moshe, put the staff of Aaron in front of the edus, in front of the tabernacle, as a sign to the B'nai Mary, to the rebellious people, and it will stop their complaints from me. Says this is where the Jewish people, they could be called B'nai Miri. They were called the rebellers. Moses did like God said, say he did, and the Jewish people said to Moshe, we're all going to be dead. You're going to kill us all. We haven't got a chance. Anyone who wants to come close to God is for sure going to die. What does he have to say? What does he mean over here? Rashi says, we can't be careful enough. You said everybody has permission to go into the outer courtyard of the tabernacle, right? So we'll go to the outer tabernacle. Now, in that days, the outer tabernacle, it didn't have levels. In the temple, it had levels. So it says people won't be able to be careful enough, and maybe they'll go too close and they'll die. Right? So therefore, maybe you're going to kill us all. And God now gives a new command, which we'll have to talk about tomorrow. God said to Aaron, you and your children after you, you will bear the sin, that you will bear the sin of the Mikdash and the Kahuna. In other words, people, you have to make sure that people don't come too close. And also your brother, all the people in Levi, not only the Kohanim that go with you, they also, you and them will be in front of the Ohel Moed, all of you, the Kohanim and the Levim. And this is a commandment. This is one of the 365 commandments, the 613 commandments, that the Beit HaMikdash has to have guards. You have guards, and also the Mizbeach, so that people shouldn't come too close and go into a forbidden area. But that's going to be the next commandment, and God willing, we'll learn about that tomorrow. But let's see, maybe we can do this Kli Ykar over here. Here's the Kli Ykar. It says there were flowers and arrows. So he says this hints, God does not judge according to what we see. But we can see that here's a tree, a staff. Yavesh bli lachluchis, and it's dry. It's already been a staff. He's used it for who knows how long. To go through the desert with, and it's dead. And all of a sudden it grows these fruits. The same thing, a person can be dried up with no Torah in him or wisdom, and Hashem mafricho, and God can make him grow. Kach beipech, and also the opposite, kedamasig biyalkut, like it says in the Yalkut. Shedorash al Korach. Here we have Korach. Korach on the outside looked to be very wonderful, and in the end, so we can't judge from what the appearance is. Korach and Aaron, as pasuk v'huvashti eitz lach v'yifrachti eitz yavesh. There's a sentence that says, I have in Yechezkel, in the prophet Ezekiel, it says, I have dried up a fresh tree, and I have made fruitful a dried up tree. So Korach, that was so beautiful and wonderful, it ended up he was terrible. And Aaron, that everybody thought that he was, not fit to be the Cohen. He didn't look like he had anything special. Specifically, that's where the big blessings came from. And it could be Shemisham Nimshach HaMakor Shekol Masha Haya B'Mikdash. Everything that was in the big Mikdash Haya was Melavlev V'Ose Peros. Everything that was in the temple would be fruitful. Afilu was Zav, even the gold. It's called Puriyam. Some places it's Puruyam. And it comes out fruits from it. This is the sign of the Kohanim. This is the sign of the Kohens. And everything in the Holy Temple, that it makes everything grow. It brings out all the potential. So that's what it means, Yotze Perach. Here's another way of explaining it. There came from the staff flowers. These are the young Kohanim, that they're called Pirchei Kohana. Pirchei, they're like the flowers, they're the beginning. The Yatzitz Tzitz, this is a sign of the bigger Kohanim, that they wear the tzitz on their forehead. The Kohen Gadol, he wears this plate on his forehead, Nezer HaKodesh. The Yigmal Shkedim, and there were fruits. It says, because Aaron ran between the people that were in the plague, so therefore, Kadei Latzar, it's a magif on earth to stop this plague that struck the Jewish people just in the last pasuk. And in the merit of the fact that the Kohanim are very quick, that's what it means, v'yigmol shkedim, kigomol yado heshivlo. Therefore, just like what they did, so God repaid them. that there were going to be almonds, sheish behem mashma'ut lashon shkidot, the mihirot. In other words, the Kohanim, they were quick. So that also, the blessing, that's the fruits that they produced, was because of their quickness. So those were the three things. There were flowers, that shows the young Kohanim. There was the tzitz, that shows on Aaron the Cohen Gadol. And the fact that there were these fruits of quickness that gave the Kohanim the ability to be quick and to bring blessings down quickly. So that's going to be the difference. We can just skip down to the end so that we finish on time. It says that, so it ended up that Korach, because he was a big egotist and he thought he was full of fruits and everything, so he dried up. And on the other hand, Moses and Aaron, because they were very humble, so they were the ones that grew the fruits. So this is the way that humility will bring happiness, namely that he can serve Hashem. Like it says, great is what is said about Moshe and Aaron, because they said both, Nachnu ma, we are nothing. And also in Aaron, it also reads, it says, Aaron mahu, Aaron, he is nothing. What is he? That he considered himself to be without anything, bli ma, as though he was like a dried up tree, a dried up piece of wood. He hasn't got anything. And because of that, God gave him the blessing that he merited that his staff would grow fruits. Tomorrow, God willing, we'll learn about some of the gifts that were given to the Kohanim. And we'll also do the Haftorah of the Torah portion. Have a good day with Mashiach now.